Can you tell us the value that you see as having been chairman now for 2 consecutive years?
The George C. Marshall Foundation's running and sponsoring the George C. Marshall Awards and Leadership Seminar for our top cadets across our country is one of the most vital and important programs before these young cadets pin on their gold bars of second lieutenants and become leaders in our Army. We have a fantastic group of cadre that come in and teach, virtual staff rides. We have real combat veterans just returning from the war, non-commissioned officers and former platoon leaders who sit down in small group sessions and talk and exchange with our cadets what it's going to be like for them as soon as they go out into their units and become platoon leaders and leaders in our Army. As well as we have several other great seminars that cover everything from international studies, strategic initiatives. And it's really an opportunity for the best and brightest of our ROTC programs, some 270 of these great cadets, top in their class, top in leadership, to not only learn from our combat veterans and learn from the history lessons that our greatest leader, George C. Marshall, epitomized when he was on active duty, but it gives them a chance to learn from each other, to be able to share different experiences, ask different questions of expectations, all of it part of the learning and growing process for these future leaders in our Army. It's one of the best leadership programs that I've been associated with in and out of uniform some 40 years now. And the takeaway from these cadets after 3 or 4 days of listening to the Chief of Staff of the Army, Division Command Sergeant Majors, the Commanding General of TRADOC, the Secretary of the Army, leaders who give them a strategic focus but also drill right down into why it's important to be a leader in our Army, the profession of arms, is such a great seminar, and I learn every time just exchanging ideas with these cadets. And I know they learn a lot, and it prepares them for the eventuality of them becoming leaders in our Army.
General, if you don't mind, when you answer the next question, if you could look at Chris,
okay.
Even if you're answering
Yep.
to Rick here.
Okay. What did I miss, Rick?
That was one question.
Oh, that was one. Okay.
Yeah.
You did great.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
You did a
I
great
figured
job.
you guys could handle that.
That's terrific. We
Okay.
appreciate your time.
No problem.
Thank you very
All
much for the seminar so far.
This was my first chance to be at the seminar as a roundtable leader, and I'm just more than impressed with the caliber of cadets that come here. I feel very safe that when I retire from the Army in a few years, that the Army is in capable hands. There's just bright, bright young Americans, and they're very impressive.
As an award winner, how has the seminar affected your career?
There's been a number of ways that the seminar has affected my career since I came here in 2000. Back then I studied terrorism and dealing with the media, and little did I know September 11th was around the corner, and I would deal with terrorism and deal with the media for the next decade in the Army. And you can cut to another way that it's influenced my life is it really inspired me to learn more about George C. Marshall and learn how he led and how he had a vision for his organizations and how he treated people and respected soldiers. And I've kind of tried to incorporate that into my leadership. And I always think about George C. Marshall and what he would do in an instance. And just an inspirational leader that we don't learn enough about. And I think this seminar really opens the doors to that. And you get to find out about Marshall the man and Marshall the general and what he did for this country. Also, I remember the guest speakers when I was at this awards event. General Keane was speaking to us, and I remember the things that he talked about over the lunch and how his heroes were the soldiers that he'd served with and soldiers that he remembered and all the great things he did, and that's what he put his stock in the Army and the people, and that always stuck with me, that the people were the most important part. I was honored to meet General Goodpaster before he passed away at this seminar, and that stuck with me for a lot of reasons. My career has resembled his in a lot of ways. A guy always behind the scenes, but really getting to take part in some really interesting parts of our history. And I consider that a great honor to have gotten to meet General Goodpaster here. I think this national security seminar really helped me to think as a strategic person, to broaden my horizon to beyond just what an infantry lieutenant or an engineer officer should know, and really think strategically about the world around me, and open my eyes to that level of understanding, to figure out how the world really ticks, what makes this place run, and how we as officers, just one small part in that big strategic picture, but how we can help to change things and shape things at a strategic level, no matter where we are in our career. So that I thank the seminar for. It really made me a better strategic thinker, and that's how I look at the world now.
As being the recipient of the Marshall Award also, has that opened any doors for you in particular?
There have been a number of occasions that people have asked me about the Marshall Award, or asked me about my career accolades that I've gotten. And when you mention the Marshall Award, that piques a lot of interest in senior officers. And a number of times that I was being interviewed as a possible aide de camp for general officers, when they found out I won the George C. Marshall Award as a cadet, I could see that look in their eye. Okay, this guy was judged by his peers or his superiors to be a pretty good guy, and it's someone I could trust to have around me. So I think it's had some impacts in my career.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think those are the big ones.
Okay.
That we're good?
Yeah, if you want.
What did I think of this year's seminar? The caliber of ROTC cadets are really first rate. They amaze me at their quality, their backgrounds that they come from, their expertise, and they're really excited to be here, and I think they're getting an awful lot out of the conference.
How has the seminar affected you in your career, or how has being a seminar winner, how did it affect your career?
Well, it's been 30 years since I came to the seminar in 1982, and I didn't really know what the seminar or the award was about. I just was told you'd come on down to Lexington and go to VMI and see what it's like. Having no idea what VMI was like or what the conference would be like, the caliber of, as they stated back then, the galaxy of generals that came and spoke to us were amazing. I've reflected on the talks that they gave us throughout my career, both in my civilian life and my military career. And then the discussion through the round table. At that time, we only did one round table, which was on China, and I realized that I needed to learn a lot more about China and continue to study on that area for the rest of my career. Oftentimes, I've come back to VMI, gone back to the Marshall Museum to reflect on things, learn more about Marshall, and that's made a big difference in my career in the civilian world and in the military world.
Great, thank you.
All right, just give me I want to get a little bit of.
Are those the kind of questions, the way you want me to answer it?
Well, it was perfect. Was it okay? Did you guys get it?
Is there anything else you can think of about the conference in general that you think incoming cadets should know?
Yeah, let me think about that. Oh, yeah, I do. I would encourage every cadet that has the opportunity to come down the Marshall Award to do it. Shoot, I lost the train of thought. You can take that out. Hang on here. Okay, there it is. I would encourage them to come down, because when I look back at my college career, the Marshall Award was really probably one of the top 5 experiences I had in my college education, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Great.
If I could just ask you to indulge us, could you please take your microphone off and maybe just lay it